Food insecurity is defined as a lack of consistency in obtaining healthy and sustainable food. It's influenced by and overlaps with a number of other issues, including low wages, lack of affordable housing, and health problems, among others. It's also greatly impacted by the area of which a person lives, as some have easier access to grocery stores with a wider variety of options than others. Many people live in what are called food deserts, or food apartheids.
They've been switching the vernacular around food deserts to food apartheid because if you look, it's a systematic on purpose through communities that lower income communities will have less access to fresh, healthy food. The number of grocery stores are fewer, and if you don't have access to transportation and trying to get groceries home on public transportation with a young child, those are aspects of it that I think people don't think about when it comes to access to food, is actually physically getting there if you do have the means to purchase food. And that's just food, not talking about healthy food. Say you're someone that has a disability, so then you've got mobility issues, you don't have transportation issues, and funds, it kind of all compounds.
Nationally, about 35.7 million people were food insecure before the COVID-19 pandemic began, according to a study done by Feeding America. Now, they project that about 42 million individuals across the country may be food insecure due to the pandemic.
COVID wasn't an equitable virus. It hit people that had the least, the hardest. So folks that were able to stock up could, and folks that are in lower paying jobs or in between jobs or unemployed were not able to stock up, and were most likely in service jobs that were closed or frontline workers where they were exposed.
Spokane, Washington is a fun and vibrant city and is home of Gonzaga University. But it's only a small portion of what Spokane is. Within this city and surrounding the Gonzaga campus is the Logan neighborhood. One aspect of Spokane that is hardly ever talked about are the high levels of food insecurity within this neighborhood and among the students who attend GU. Many organizations, like Campus Kitchens, are working hard to provide for those struggling with food insecurity in this area.
Our program, goes through campus and collects all of the leftover food. So it's perfectly good food. It just did not get consumed. So we get food from primarily the COG, in normal times, from the McCarthy Athletic Center after basketball games. We get food from Starbucks. We get food from the marketplace, from Duff's. Basically any retail outlet on campus, we go through and collect any perfectly good, uneaten food. And then we utilize student volunteers to repurpose that food into healthy meals that go out to low-income senior housing. So we go to the O'Malley Senior Center twice a week over on Mission. We do Tuesday night Logan family dinner over at Logan Elementary. And then in normal times, we also send meals to the American Indian Community Center, Crosswalk and Cup of Cool Water, which are both youth shelters downtown. And then we have a Thursday night dinner that we run at House of Charity for their patients that are in respite care. We also have a garden on campus where we grow food in the summer months that provide extra produce for the meals that we send out to the community. We started the Logan Family Dinner in 2018. And like I said, the goal was to take some of the burden off of families within our neighborhood and to build relationships between the Gonzaga campus and the neighborhood that we live in and reside in. At that time, Logan Elementary had the highest free and reduced lunch rates in the county. So there was a need there. Since then, the need was so high that they qualify for a program that every student gets free breakfast and lunch, no questions asked. We serve it restaurant style as much as possible. So families, as they enter the building, we have the menu right there, and then we tell them to have a seat. We bring them drinks and serve them dinner. Sometimes we have choices at dinner. Oftentimes that comes from a necessity of I won't have enough of everything to have a dinner for everybody, but the choices are a little, I think of kind of special in that I think it's kind of a blind privilege that many of us hold that are not facing food insecurity, that we get to choose what we want for dinner. And oftentimes folks that are facing food insecurity, choice is not a privilege they hold. Right now, it's been challenging because it's been limited. The organizations we usually partner with are not bringing folks in. We have still been doing the Logan meal, but doing it in a grab and go to go meals. We were also able to, at Logan, manage to partner with Second Harvest. The need for food in Spokane was huge. It was that way across the country. You turn on the news and see the lines with miles of cars waiting for food distributions. Second Harvest was able to host food distributions, drive-through food distributions at all of the elementary schools. So they paired that distribution with our Logan dinner, which made it one-stop shopping. They would get the meals for dinner, but they would also be getting groceries to get them through the week, which I think was really valuable for families.
Second Harvest is one of the leading food relief networks in the Spokane region since 1971 and works towards the root problem of hunger, as opposed to how many charities operate as a Band-Aid solution. Second Harvest is a nonprofit organization that works to provide those in need of food with healthy, sustainable options.
So Right to Go, I think plays a pretty good role in kind of going towards that root of the problem. So we're working with partnered schools to give out these weekend meal kits, right? So these are kids that are receiving free or reduced lunches, and it's a population of that group. And we're actually giving them food that is going to be kind of kid-friendly, meaning that it's shelf-stable, easy to open. You don't have to cook if you don't need to, if you don't want to, or have the means to. So it really kind of directly is given the kind of control to the kids, right? So they're able to help kind of feed themselves, have access to this stuff, and not have to feel that they're going home, don't know what's going to happen. Again, it gives them a little bit of kind of a hand in that, taking care of themselves, and helping kind of address that root issue, which another big issue with a lot of that kind of child hunger too is just, it's hard for these kids to go to school and, they haven't eaten over the weekend. They're going to be in bad shape. Just not paying attention, having a hard time, getting a little rowdy. There's plenty of statistics to show you that, and it's having to be able to provide some snacks and some kind of entrees, kind of more meals during the weekend just really goes a long way to kind of directly impact those kids' lives.
Yeah, as Connor said, Bite to Go is very much a good example of that. And again, just want to emphasize, so we work with a lot of partners, but then work with them to make sure that the food gets out, that people know it's there, they know how to communicate with their communities better than anybody. And so that really maximizes, we really leverage those relationships, and they leverage us to maximize the impact. Another example of addressing the root that we've had to put on the sidelines for a while is our kitchen. For example, we do a lot of work, education work of, okay, we've never cooked lentils before, and all of a sudden, Second Harvest has a whole bunch of lentils to be distributed because farmers are so generous in giving those lentils. When we can open the kitchen back up, and we're looking forward to that, we can then teach people, okay, here's the best way to maximize the nutritional value of lentils, for example.
When I say the words Gonzaga University, what comes to mind of many are thoughts of regarding basketball, predominantly white, Catholic, and for the most part, wealthy students. With the constant thought of this wealthy perception, the thought of food insecurity on Gonzaga's campus is often avoided from discussion, and thus becomes more or less a taboo subject. There shouldn't be such a stigma on talking about hunger, though. Food is a necessity. All people deserve healthy and sustainable food. In the spring of 2020, just before the COVID-19 pandemic hit, April Lopez, a Campus Kitchens and Center for Community Engagement AmeriCorps member, sent out a survey that 445 students completed. The results were astonishing, since hunger on Gonzaga's campus is such a rare topic. Only 63% of students were aware of resources such as SNAP that assist in providing food. Something not talked about enough is that 32% of Gonzaga students have had experience with not having enough food for a meal. That is 32%, far too many.
The food security survey that we did last spring, but ever since we did that, I've just been super interested in what campus hunger looks like. Because I was food insecure my first year of college. It was like I either sleep or I am hungry. So it was really hard for me my first year because I didn't have money for food, and meal plans in reality, as I did more research, aren't adequate unless you have an unlimited meal plan. So there's a lot of interest there for me, as well as finding ways to create programs moving forward where students have access to food on campus that they might not be able to previously.
But why is there such a stigma on talking about hunger on Gonzaga's campus? GSBA, ELI, and the CCE have been working closely along with the law school to implement pantries on both the undergrad and law school buildings for students to take whatever food they need from it.
So ELI is a leadership program at Gonzaga. So it's only a one semester long program. So in the fall, we were placed in groups, and each group was in charge of a project that they were very passionate about and wanted to do more research and stuff like that. And then by the end of that semester, we did kind of like a presentation of everything that we've learned and done throughout that semester. So for my group, we decided to try to implement a food pantry because over the summer I had the opportunity to be a Northeast fellow through CCE, and through that fellowship I was able to help with food distribution, and I just became very interested in food distribution and food insecurity. So I thought, and I knew that Gonzaga didn't have resources that I was aware of. And like you mentioned earlier, April Lopez was part of the fellowship, and she talked about the survey she did and how like 36% of students at Gonzaga were currently facing food insecurity. So I thought having a food pantry would be one of the more accessible ways for students to receive or get access to food if needed.
So, how can we fight against hunger? These resources exist not for the savior complex, but so that one day these programs will no longer be needed. Support Eli and the GSBA in implementing 2 food pantries on campus: SNAP, Bite to Go, the mobile market. For more information, call 211 or go to www.211.org.